Hi everyone, I'm going to react to Bleach 1000 Year Blood War episode 3, March of the Star Cross. In last episode, Nell and Pesci showed up and asked for Ichigo's help because Fuego Mundo is under attack by the Quincy King. We found out that Halibel was the leader of Fuego Mundo and now she's been captured by the Quincy King. You have the Quincy King's underlings that are trying to recruit Arancars for their army and whatnot. They had a funeral for the lieutenant, Genrusa's lieutenant, and you had all the 13 squad captains have a meeting where they basically said that declared who was behind everything that was happening, which were the Quincy's. So that's what happened last episode. And before we get into this one, if you guys have my reaction, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and please consider supporting my Patreon at patreon.com/FairlyMini. And now let's start this episode, and here we go. I believe I said it last episode. I just watched it. Like, I'm watching this episode the same night. These two episodes. So it's like I'm sort of like a little confused about what happened this episode and what happened previously. But either way, I said that I think it was previously in my discussion for the previous episode that I didn't quite remember exactly what happened between the Quincy's and the Soul Reapers, and that I feel like this season was gonna give us more backstory on that. And then they started doing that this episode when what was her name? Ryunosuke and Shino. I think Ryunosuke was asking Shino like exactly what happened between the Soul Reapers and the Quincy's, and then that's when this character I forgot his name. He basically went into it and told them that, Soul Reapers, their duty is to I'm not about to say purge, but that's not the word that I'm looking for. What's the word? You know what? Let me just go through the episode again. I'm sure he's gonna say the word. But basically, like, you have the souls on Earth that someone dies on Earth, on the real world. Anyway, someone dies and then they become a hollow. So a soul reaper is to basically bring the soul back out of that hollow, destroy the hollow, and release the soul so that the soul can go back to the soul society, and thereby keeping the balance between the souls in soul society and then all the souls in the world of the living and everything. But the Quincy's, their thing is to destroy the hollows, the soul with it, So if you destroy the hollow, the soul doesn't go back up. So there's gonna be like an imbalance of souls, and when that imbalance becomes so big or whatever, it's gonna lead to the destruction of both the soul society and the world of the living. So years and years and years ago, the soul society, they kept trying to get the Quincy's, I guess, to stop doing that, but then they were like, no. So they decided to eradicate the Quincy's. In the first episode, we saw Ikaku and the other one. There were all the souls that were disappearing in the Rukon district and everything. I didn't talk about that during that episode because it escaped me. But they brought it up this episode. All those souls that were disappearing, it was the Kurosuchi. What's his name again? Kurosuchi. Oh man, I don't know. It was his doing. Kurosuchi. Mayuri Kurosuchi. Yeah, it was his doing. Because the Quincy's were destroying all those hollows, he started like basically getting rid of the souls in the Rukon district to sort of like maintain the balance. But he didn't ask permission before he started doing that. And then Genryusai was getting upset with him. And I think where Genryusai was coming from is that had he, it seems like, okay, the research department noticed all those souls, all those hollows disappearing, being killed, and everything. And I think what Genryusai was coming from is that if he had told them that, they would have been prepared. They would have known that the Quincy's were sort of like back, I guess, and doing all this damage. And then Genryusai would have been able to prepare his squad and everybody else for the eventuality that the Quincy's were going to attack Soul Society. And he would have been ready so that all his squad members and his lieutenant didn't have to die. I think that's where his anger was coming from when it came to Kurosuchi not asking for permission before doing all those things and not like warning them earlier, I guess. That's where his anger is coming from, I believe. And then Kurosuchi was like, it's all Genryusai's fault because he didn't kill His Majesty 1,000 years ago, you know. And during their speech, Kurosuchi said something about when the was it Shida? Who did he said when that person first appeared in Soul Society, he knew this was gonna happen, and he warned Genryusai about it, but he didn't do anything or something or other like that. I'm trying to remember who he was referring to. I think when I first read that, I was thinking about either I think I was thinking about Uryu. I think that's where my mind went. Although I don't quite remember. I don't know. But he's basically blaming Genryusai for everything that's happening right now. Now, in Hueco Ichigo came upon the Tres Bestias, like defeated and everything. And that one dude still there. And Ichigo joined the battle. Nell was shocked. She couldn't believe it, but I'm like, yeah, I knew that's what was gonna happen. So Ichigo joined the battle, and he was fighting this person, and then this person went this up other level. You know, they have these German names for these things, and I'm like, I don't feel like remembering all of that. I don't speak German, so it's like it'll be, at least if it was Spanish, you know, like during the Espada saga and Eisenstein, if it was during those time and they were naming everything like Spanish and everything, I'm like, I would be able to speak it like perfectly and everything. But German, I don't know any German, but I don't speak German like that. So I just can't. Nah. So he went up this other level, and then he started absorbing all the reishi around and everything. And him and Ichigo were battling each other, and I think he was about to unleash. He was about to unleash something. I don't know. And that's when Ion showed up. And then the Tres Bestias, who we thought were defeated, weren't really defeated. So they sacrificed their left arm to bring back Ion. And I thought Ion was gonna defeat this dude, because when Ion first like punched the dude and the way he reacted to that punch, I'm like, okay, this guy's dead. But no. The guy just like his neck and just absorbed Ion, I guess, and he transformed himself even like further and all of that. And I'm like, yo, I thought this guy was gonna be easy to defeat when Ion showed up, but no. So he that's when Bleach Ichigo used his Bankai, and while they were fighting, the Majesty got a report that this dude was fighting Ichigo. So he's like, oh, this is the perfect opportunity or something or that like that for us to invade Soul Society. And I'm like, Because they said that Ichigo was this special threat that they needed to deal with like at once, you know. So I'm like, okay, we know Ichigo's that is the main character, so there's gonna be something special about him and everything. But why is the Soul King, not Soul King, the Quincy King? So I don't know. Like, okay, now that Ichigo is here, now we can go into Soul Society. I'm like, why? You know, what is so special about Ichigo that he's taking advantage of the fact that he's, you know, concentrating on this. He's in this particular battle. He's not gonna be able to do anything with them. Like he's, you know, he's engaged otherwise. So we're gonna take that opportunity to go into Soul Society. I'm like, why? You know, why is he so afraid of Ichigo like that? But then he showed up. They showed up. They're calling themselves what? The Stern Reader. I wrote that one down. They're calling themselves that, and then they showed up in society, and they had a quick successions of all my lieutenants or to sits and whatnot. You know, they showed Renji and Rukia, Kira. You know, they just were like show them, and then you see the king and his people. They showed up, and then they just like Kira's arm is like his side is like gone. I'm like, really? And then this turn written, what the people were like, sorry, but we had the king told us to kill all of y'all. So I'm like, please do not kill anybody that I care about. Kira, presently, he's not dead. He didn't look like he was gonna die, so I hope he doesn't die. I mean, if Orihime was there, she would just heal him, you know, return him back to normal and everything. But she's not in society. She's all the way in, you know, Huecomundo. And they also showed Kisuke carrying Donda Chaka, whatever his name is. And then they were making their way toward Ichigo. So there's that. What else was happening this episode? Oh yeah, you had Uryu in the library or something or other like that, trying to research the Quincy's, and then his father showed up, and he was trying to ask him, you know, about the Quincy's and stuff, and then all the father can say is that it doesn't concern you, and what you're searching for is not here. So after the father left, he's like, he remembered what the father said about what he's looking for not being here. And then he goes into his father's office or something, open the drawer, and then find something that was a book of some kind or journal or something that belonged to his master. I believe that's the grandfather, right? The grandfather was the one that taught him all the Quincy stuff. So he opened the book and then was reading it. At one point he was crying, and then his father came in and he's like, I told you not to touch my stuff or something or that. I don't know. He's like, what are you doing here? And then Udi was asking him about, you know, is all this true about the master? And then he mentioned his mom, and I'm like, what does the mom have to do with this? And then all the father can say again is that it doesn't concern you. And then Uri got upset, and then he left. So what's the story there? There was that one moment also in the episode where when Ichigo was facing this dude, and Ichigo was wondering if this guy's set of powers was basically what Ishida Uryu also uses. And then the guy's like, mine is different. That what Uryu used to uses whatever was like a relic. There is this, I can use this new version. And then he said, this is something about his power being weaker than Uryu's, and that's impossible, something or other like that. Like he made it seem like Uryu's power should be stronger than his, you know. Which is why I'm like, why did he say that? you know. And then I'm like, okay, does that mean? Well, he said he should be stronger. My mind immediately went to maybe the king, the Quincy king, being an Ishida, you know, and Uryu being a descendant of the king. So if he's a descendant of the king, and the king is this most powerful Quincy ever, or whatever, then his descendant should also be powerful, and that will mean he will be stronger than this dude. So that will make what he said make sense to me. But then again, I'm just speculating, you know. So yeah, I don't think there was anything else in this episode. Yeah, not that I remember. Let's make sure. As I'm scrolling through this episode, I see Ichigo use Gesgaten show, and I'm like, his Gesgaten show has this yellow tint to it, and it didn't used to have that. Oh, okay, so that's what he said. I was scrolling through it again, and then I came to the discussion between Kurosuchi and Hirusai, and then he said that ever since Uryu infiltrated society, that's when he knew that this was gonna happen. Okay, so it's not just my mom went there, it's that he actually said it. Okay, this leads more credence to what I'm saying, that Uryu is a descendant of this king, because he's saying, okay, all this stems from the fact. Okay, he said that ever since Uryu Ishida infiltrated to society, he knew this was gonna happen. And then he said all this stems from the fact that you couldn't kill this man, meaning the king, 1,000 years ago. So if you couldn't kill the king 1,000 years ago, that means he was alive. That means he produced an heir. That means, like, if Uryu is his descendant, and it's because you didn't kill the whatever, man. This just needs more believability to what I'm saying. Zangetsu. And I'm like, I kept trying to remember his sword's name, like his Sanpakto's name. His name is Zangetsu. And I kept saying that in the intro, they show Zangetsu, and then a moment later they show the Quincy King, and I'm like, they look so similar to me. I'm like, okay, maybe there's a relation between those two, and that might also be why the Quincy King wants to keep Ichigo at bay, you know, because of Zangetsu. I'm just speculating. Yeah, there's nothing else in this episode, so thank you guys for watching, and if you like this reaction, please give it a thumbs up, please subscribe, and if you want to see my reaction to episode 4, you can do so by checking out my Patreon at patreon.com/filmini, and you can also see the full info of this reaction there as well. So, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye. C'est ce qui ne va pas, un sacré papa, dis-moi où es-tu caché, ça doit faire au moins 1000 fois que j'ai compté mes doigts.